Have any crazy sex, drunk, or fighting stories either camping at the fest or saw someone? I saw a couple doing it behind a tent. A friend of a friend joined our camp one year. He was quite annoying and thought he had mad game. One night after the fest, we are chilling at camp, and this guy brings back a fairly unattractive Australian girl. He thinks she is a model, takes her in his tent, and we start to hear it shake as they are going at it. 30 seconds later, he is done. Come out of the tent all proud, then our entire group roasts him for being a one-pump chump. He didn't take it too well. The next day, he tries to show us his Instagram to prove to the group all the hot girls he hooks up with on the reg. My friend takes his phone, and the first photo he sees is the guy with an ugly girl. My friend tells him the girl is unattractive. He takes the phone back and yells, "Dude, that's my sister." The one pump chump fails again. Needless to say, we haven't seen the guy since. Some chick in a nearby campsite had a vibrator so loud it could wake the dead. Industrial strength. El Mayo. It was probably those remote-controlled ones. Ha ha ha. 2015. I had a massively obese couple furiously devouring each other all night long in the campgrounds next to mine. My friend was coming down from a bad trip, and all we could hear for hours was the smacking sound of their flaps and moaning. It still haunts my nightmares. I don't know about sex, but last year I woke up to a little Asian man sleeping on a crevice in between my tent and tarp, and when I woke him up, he just kept saying, "Friends?" Just right before Beyonce's set, everyone looked tired and sat in the back waiting, including me and my boyfriend. A couple in front of us were sitting down. The girl was on top and hugging the guy as she's slowly moving back and forth. They were having sex between hundreds of people and sat right under the light pole. When I was in 5th grade camp, 2 girls got in the shower and one girl said it's so big, and the other girl said thank you, and everyone thought it was weird. I had outrageous sex with a girl at festival who was dancing with me at a small festival in the UK. It was just remarkably filthy. She was finding it hot that she was wearing wellies and nothing else, and really encouraging me to fuck her in the arse. I'm all for it, but prefer pussy to be honest. Regardless, was very wild and unforgettable. I was wasted, and she was too, and the sex was nuts, haha. I was on holiday in Germany, taking a shit in the restroom, hearing loud grunting and moaning of a man. When I finished my business, I thought that I should wait and see who was in there. From the cabin came out roughly 70-year-old man. Guess he was beating his meat there next to me. Last year, I matched with Rohan on a dating app. His profile was pretty interesting and he looked hot. We hit it off over text and decided to meet for a date. But instead of the usual boring date options, Rohan proposed something exciting. A midnight street food run near Indiranagar, Balor. The idea was unconventional, yet thrilling. So, we went out one midnight for a street food streak. And after we reached home, we spoke about our work and did some heavy corporate trauma bonding. We continued to talk and eventually we started making out. Things got hot and we were moving to the bedroom, but then he told me he didn't have a condom. I asked him to check my bedside drawer, where he found 4 Durex boxes and he got freaked out. But having protection is a good thing, right? And I mean, why can't a girl just have some fun? Why do you guys think he freaked out? Let's talk about other interesting stories. In college, I had the best kind of roommate situation. I shared a bathroom with one other guy, and we actually had separate rooms on either side of the bathroom. With that kind of privacy, I could have a lot of loud sex. And I did. One night, I was sitting on the edge of my bed, with my girlfriend straddling me. It was that great kind of loud, dirty talking sex, and I started to spank her as she rode me. She loved it and kept asking for more, so I spanked harder as we got more and more into it. We got a lot of energy going, and I was smacking her ass pretty damn hard, until I spanked out of sync with her movement. My hand swung down as her ass moved up, and I ended up missing her entirely and smacking myself in the balls with full force. I doubled over and immediately fell off the bed, curled up on the floor, blinded by the sudden pain. My girlfriend had no idea what to do and thought maybe a cold washcloth would help, so she ran to the bathroom and threw open the door. To find my roommate, pants around his ankles, dick in hand. There was an eternity of stunned silence as no one knew what to do or say. She slammed the door shut again, and that was the last time I saw my roommate that year, TLDR. I hit myself in the nuts during sex, and seconds later, caught my roommate masturbating to it all. Yes, I have posted this before. I was visiting my brother in Ohio. I went for a week, a bunch of family was there, etc. My cousin and I had a flight out the same day, so we shared a room near the airport. I decided I wanted to go check out the college bars. It was a Friday night before I left. I ended up at some goth club with a lot of awkward goth people that I felt too awkward to hang out with. Anyway, I make my way to this place called Scully's. It seemed like a pretty average club. Some local bands played, I hung around and just got shitty drunk. I make friends with some girl at the bar. She invites me to go upstairs and hang out with the DJ. With Last Call coming soon and the venue dying down, I started getting friendly with the girl I met downstairs. We all head to some random bar nearby and finish drinking whatever we could. Last Call? Some random dude says come to my place, we'll keep drinking. So, we end up driving 20 minutes to this random guy's place. The girl I met at Scully's friend is driving. We are completely all trashed at this point. We get to his place. She tells me to stay in the car while her friends get out. I do. We start making out and getting hot in the back of her friend's car. After a bit of drunken slobbering all over each other, she starts to give me a blowjob. I lean back in the glory of it all, but after about 30 seconds, she stops bobbing. Everything okay down there? No response. I move the hair from her face. She is dead asleep with my cock in her mouth. I start nudging her. She wakes up, moves her mouth from my cock with a string of spit from her mouth. I'm sorry, I'm just so drunk. She starts back at it. Few minutes later, she stops moving again. I now lean back and start figuring out how the fuck to get back to my hotel. That is, until a cop knocks on the window. I look at him in amazement as I start to remember there's a fucking passed out drunk girl with my now limp dick in her mouth. He opens the door, pulls me out, and asks me what the fuck I'm doing. I start yelling, "It's not what you think, it's not what you think." The girl hops out and says, No, I'm sorry, I fell asleep, I'm really drunk, etc, etc, etc. The cop asks why we're there. We explain that some dude invited us and we just wanted to keep drinking. He asks said girl where her friends who drove were. She told him inside. He told her to go back inside. She goes inside, shuts the door. He looks at me. I'm scared shitless. He says, "Did that girl really fall asleep in the middle of a blowjob?" and starts laughing. He assures me it's okay, he just thinks it's funny. I ask him for the number to a cab company. He decided to give me a ride to my hotel half an hour away. TL died dar. I end up in Ohio for family reunion, meet some girl who later falls asleep while giving me a blowjob in the back of her friend's car. Cop finds us thinking I was raping her and proceeds gives me a ride back to my hotel. So it was my 18th birthday. It was about 12:30 a.m. at my house, and my girlfriend of the time and I were laying on the couch watching a movie. My family had gone to bed earlier, and my girlfriend turns her head and says to me, "I'm going to give you your birthday present now." We start going at it on the couch, and everything's going well. We're in the spooning position, and there is a blanket covering us up from the waist down. Not too much motion at the time, just some good grinding, but I was balls deep in her. The room suddenly got lighter, but a very natural non-electric light. My eyes look up to see my mother, father, and sister with a birthday cake walking into the room, singing happy birthday, while I am balls deep in my girlfriend, TLDR. My parents sang to me while I was having sex. This isn't embarrassing for me, but it sure is embarrassing for the girl. In college, I was in a fraternity, and our house had a long hallway with all of the rooms across from one another. The president of the house lived across from me. One night, he's fooling around with his very high, very drunk girlfriend, and she decides that she has to go pee. So, she gets up and heads off to the bathroom. At the time, I was asleep in my room across the hall. While she's sitting on the throne, she realizes that she is completely naked. Apparently, having a pot brownie and a few shots makes people forget about things like clothes. And her boyfriend was too drunk to care and too much of a dick to actually have stopped her. Luckily, it was around 2 a.m. at the time and nobody had seen her go into the bathroom. So, after she finishes up, she checks to see if the coast is clear and then makes a mad dash for his room. Again, since it's pretty late, nobody sees her, except that she ended up in my room instead. Funnily enough, I didn't wake up. She can't just cross the hall naked though, so in an act of purely rational thinking, she takes my shorts from off of the floor, puts them on, and then grabs the first thing out of the closet that she can find, which happened to be my brand new suit jacket with the tags on. She then decides that this isn't enough and puts on a baseball cap and my sneakers. Needless to say, when she went back into his room, their fighting woke up the whole house, and I suddenly had a lot of explaining to do. He and I never really spoke after that day, although she and I are actually very good friends. TLDR. The gene that causes asthma in young children is the same gene that is responsible for shellfish allergies in adults. So I'm chilling in my apartment with this chick friend of mine, who I've hooked up with on a couple occasions over the previous months, and finally, after a few drinks, we ended up in the bedroom and clothes started coming off. She had mentioned earlier in the night that she's a squirter, and since A, that's a huge turn on to me, and B, I also excel at eating pussy, I dove into her cooter like a thirsty Rottweiler drinking out of a toilet bowl. After a few minutes of my patented tongue jive C, she came like an epileptic with a fire hose. It was pretty hot, and I'm a generous guy, so I decided I'd go back for seconds. This time, I really went to town with my mouth and fingers and made her scream. Once again, she shot a healthy stream of girl juice right down my esophagus, but this time something tasted wrong. I mean, I thought the first time seemed a little waxy or something, but now I have chunks in my mouth? I turned on the light to the grim discovery that the two of us, my bed, the wall, the lamp, and speckled across the whole fucking room was blood. Like as if I had just slaughtered a pig with a chainsaw. Apparently the bitch was unknowingly just starting her monthly friend, and I just swallowed half a pint of chunky period blood. So while I'm in the bathroom throwing up, she decides to turn on the radio to ease the tension, I suppose. It was tuned to the local rock station, and go figure what else would be playing right then, but she's my cherry pie. I hope you enjoyed the video. Be sure to leave your stories in the comments.